Hi, everyone. I'm glad you're here. I thought I would take a moment and just explain some of what I'm doing professionally. I'm a classically trained musician, played lots of Bach and Brahms. Oh, I love Brahms. Chopin Etudes, Chopin Ballades, the Schubert Wanderer Fantasy, a lot of really challenging classical music for a solo piano. But during my time in graduate school, I discovered that there was music that was not just like sacred music, but more kind of pop influence. It sounded like what you might hear on the radio, but it was about God. And something in my heart was drawn to giving my creative energies to that kinds of music. Now, as I try and describe this to someone who might have a classical background but doesn't quite understand my perspective, I've found this painting that has been a real help to me in, even if it's just personally, understanding what it is that draws me to make this kind of music. And it's a painting I discovered by an artist from the early 20th century, I think. And it's a bit abstract. It's kind of got dabs of or palette knife strokes of paint instead of very realistic detail, but I love the what it depicts here. It's basically showing a young man playing a harp, and it's titled King David, and it's about the biblical story where Saul, a king of Israel, is known to be troubled. He's got mental issues, anxiety issues. I don't know what they are specifically. I don't know that any of us do. But the point of the story is that God saw this king's anxiety and restlessness and turmoil, and he sent David to David had a reputation in the kingdom as being a skilled musician. Now, my antenna went up there and said, oh, if the fact that the servants of the king who was troubled sought out David says that in that culture they knew that music had real power to soothe and to bring peace and to settle someone. So as I've discovered through these years of me being involved in ministry, is that this music we create can be a conduit for people, whatever their circumstance, to enter into the presence of the living God who says, I've come that you may have life and have it to the full. Don't let your hearts be troubled. If you're weary of religion and rules, come know my yoke, which is easy. Wow, so much about knowing the Lord is really attractive and makes me want to come along. And I'm so grateful I have for many decades now. But I just want to give a couple of quick sonic illustrations of why I am wired now to pursue with my creative energies the years I have left on the earth and the time I have to encourage other musicians to not if you can certainly keep pursuing whatever you are pursuing creatively. That's not the point. But you could perhaps expand your potential, expand your capability by involving some of this technology like what I teach about on my channel here. So let me just give a few quick examples of these sonic things I'm speaking of. Here, for example, is a pad sound. Beautiful kind of atmospheric mood it creates. It's defining a tonality, but there's no there's no harmonic progression. There's no movement yet between chords. It's very spacious, but an instrument like I can add piano. And I'm intentionally being very free with the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, retard, and leave space, and then more activity. Now I'm in the key of B, and I know that the next song I'm headed toward is in B, and it starts with an acoustic piano part. So I'll set that up now. And here comes guitar. Now I could add a little piano. have someone read a scripture where Jesus said, "Come to me if you're weary, if you're worn out, if you're burned out of religion, and I'll give you rest." One of my favorite scriptures out of the translation called the Message says, it's in Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7, and it says, "It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life." I'm thinking, wow, I'm open to that, making that trade. Because I sure would rather live at peace than with anxiety ruling my life. So as a person, maybe this is some of why I'm drawn to this kind of ministry, because I've known plenty of anxiety and still face plenty of it. But I also regularly know the goodness of God and the sweetness of being in his presence. So as someone who earned a master's degree in piano from Indiana University and met the qualifications of that rigorous program, I absolutely don't feel apologetic about doing music that might be simpler in terms of technical requirements of like the last movement of the Brahms, what is it, F minor sonata, whatever. Um, it's not challenging like Brahms or Chopin or Bach might be, but it's sure satisfying to create. And I hope if you're classically trained, or I hope if you're a rock and roll guitarist who loves to make music that has great energy and excitement to it, that you would explore the possibilities. Because the good news is we've been making music with 7 notes in a scale for centuries, and we're not done yet creating all the possibilities. So I'm just one of many who have discovered, wow, live music, creating with other musicians is a thrilling thing. But beyond it all, and perhaps tying it all together in an incredible package, is the mystery of God's presence coming among us as we make music together. So be a David in your congregation, be someone who ministers to Saul. You know, you don't have to talk to many people in your congregation or hear many stories from your pastor to know that there are troubled people among us. And it includes each of us. We all have needs for the living God who promises us peace. So, oh, my friends, I hope you receive this not as an admonition, but as an encouragement to venture into some of these creative, unknown possibilities that you can create together with people on your worship team, or even by yourself with some of the technology I have and that is available to us. So thanks for listening. Thanks for um, developing your craft and your skills. And I look forward to hearing about what you do. And I know that there can be such fulfillment for you as a musician. So thanks for watching. God bless.